The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Lining up, Adrian double, and here it comes. Over the kick, connects.
Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Phillies are heading to the World Series. I have no words, man. I have no words on just this feeling. It is absolutely insane to see that this team went from a wild card team to making it all the way to the World Series. And just the journey that they've been on this entire time, man. And to all the haters out there who are like, oh, you're just going to get swept by the Astros. Two things. One, that's what everyone's been saying since the wild card. First, it was supposed to be that St. Louis was going to knock us out. Knock them out in two. Oh, the Braves are going to sweep you and take care of you like they've done every season for the past couple of years. Beat them in 4. Or no. Wait, yeah. Yeah, we beat them in 4, right? 3-1? Let me double check that. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was 3-1. Yeah, won that 3-1. Then, oh, well, San Diego's going to expose you all. Beat them 4-1 in 5 games. And the only real embarrassing loss was kind of game 2, where Nola just kind of gave up those hits. And for whatever reason, they took too long to pull him out. And even weirdly, it was like, he struck out Machado, and then they were like, okay, take him out now instead of letting him finish the inning. But that was the only real bad game. Every other game was just insane, especially the game where they came back at home. Absolutely crazy, you know. And then, of course, Sunday's game. My goodness, man. Watching that was crazy, you know. Seeing, you know, them give up those runs, sadly, through. But that was because, it was mainly because of the rain that those pitches were wild and all that, but it was still insane to see, you know. And then just that bottom of the 8th, Bryce Harper, man, MV3, worth every penny that he's been given. Absolutely insane this postseason. I believe that's his, is that his 5th home run this season or his 10th home? Not this season, but in the postseason. I forget. But he's been going insane. Rhys Hoskins has been going insane. And like I was telling my dad, the one thing I love about Rhys Hoskins, and he's like truly the definition of a Philadelphia athlete. He catches all this flack from the fan base, and you never hear him complain about it. He just goes out and does his best to try and show out. And when he does show out after being in a slump, he doesn't go off boasting about it and telling the fans, oh, look at what I did. Look at, look, I proved you guys wrong. He just straight up goes, nope. I just am doing my job for you guys and doing the best I can out there. And, there's nothing more you can say except, that guy is an absolute beast, and I love him. And I love every person on this team, man. They're just going insane in this run. They've been playing good defense, and man, it's just surreal to see, man. And the second thing was, even if we do get swept by Houston, even if we lose in 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, I don't think any Philly fan is gonna complain, because we weren't supposed to be here, you know. We were a wild card team, the very last team to make the wild card. To make it to the World Series is an accomplishment in itself, you know. Can't fault us for any of that, you know. Even if we do lose, I think every Philly fan would be happy, because that wasn't the expectation heading into these playoffs, you know. Everyone was like, oh, like, for the most part, most Philly fans thought, okay, we could maybe beat St. Louis. We could probably not easily, but there's obviously a chance there. And when it came to the Braves, everyone was like, well, if we take a game, maybe it's possible that when we bring it back to Citizen Bank, it'll be the first playoff game in a while. And that's the thing. Just got to take one game in Houston and bring them back to Citizen Bank, because that place is electric, having the playoffs there for the first time in 11 years, and you can clearly tell it's rattling a lot of those teams because Philly so far is undefeated. And the final thing I want to say also is that every team that's gone undefeated in the playoffs, which the Astros have been doing so far, they've never won the World Series. So far the odds are in our favor, but it's going to be an interesting series to watch. Nola's starting game 1. I hope he has a better bounce back performance than game 2 against the Padres. That was just a rough game to watch, and it really sucked, seeing him struggle like that. But there's nothing really much you can say except, you're just hoping for the best for that guy, and just hoping that, he can pull through, give us a good solid 6-7 innings before guys like Eflin, Dominguez, Gibson, Hand, obviously, can come in. Because, another thing, Suarez was a good substitution for Dominguez and Robertson in that final game against the Padres. Because Robertson just, I don't know what he was doing, man. He let up those 2 walks. They had to bring in Suarez. And it is so, to this day, right now, it just baffles me still that whatever the Padres went with, because, I just don't understand it to this day, like to this point right now. What was the Padres manager thinking? You have, the announcers themselves even said it, Suarez is one of the best defensive pitchers in the league. You have, oh my gosh, what's his name? My gosh, but, he's one of the best defensive pitchers. And, why am I blanking on his name, man? Here, let me pull up the box score or the play-by-play to kind of remind you. Gresham. Todd Gresham, who, I get it, this game, he had nothing, like he basically struck out twice, right? Is that what that is? But basically he had no hits, no runs, no nothing, I get it, he was struggling that game. But it just doesn't make sense to me, because they had Drury and Kim on base, and
Suarez fired.
They have those 2 guys on base, and they don't bother to have Gresham hit, and it baffles me even more, because it's like, in your mind, let's say in your mind, you're like, oh, because to further explain, he hit a bunt, and like, if in your mind you're like, oh, he hits that bunt to advance the runners, well, what up, man, what up? He hits that bunt for what though? Like, I can't come up with a reason for what. He hits the bunt and it advances Drury and Kim to second and third base, but he gets out in the process, makes it 2 outs now, and who's up next to bat? Austin Nola. What are you doing here? Even if you were thinking, oh, maybe Nola can get on base, bases loaded for Profar or Soto, but Soto's not coming until after Profar. That's after Gresham. You have 2 more hitters before you get to Juan Soto. Why are you having Gresham bunt? Why is Gresham bunting here? He bunts it, he gets out, and it's up to Austin Nola, the catcher, who, other than that hit he had against his brother, had been playing terribly in this series, It absolutely baffled me that was the play they went with. Literally, in the 5 games against Philly, only the game against his brother did he have that 1 hit and 1 run, the 1 RBI. Other than that, straight zeros across the board. And you want to put the game in the hands of him? And like, again, I'm not trying to talk down on the guy and all that, but just, it's an absolutely baffling play that's who you're putting the game in the hands for. And we Philly fans will take it. We'll take you making that dumb decision because it's what helped us win the game, because he hits a fly out and we are heading to the World Series because of it. I just couldn't believe that play, and it was just such a fun experience listening into that game. And I'm excited for the World Series, man. I just don't know what to say, man. It's going to be fun watching this. It starts this Friday, and that is not the end of this episode because I guess to sort of conserve time, I guess you could say, I'm gonna do a double header because so the Eagles had a bye week today, or not today, but this week. So they obviously didn't play. They come back this Sunday against the Steelers, and I really have no idea what to think of it because Kenny Pickett's kind of been playing average. You know, he has had a ton of picks, so I think the Eagles should walk out of that with a win. You know, but let's talk about the rest of the league. You know, since it's the Eagles bye week, you know, there's nothing really more to talk about with them, and I don't know. I'm just too hyped to really give in-depth analysis on the Phillies. But so looking at the NFL and looking at the scores from this week, so obviously the Cardinals beat the Saints on Thursday Night Football. The Bengals blew out the Falcons. Joe Burrow had an insane performance, 481 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Cowboys beat the Lions. The Titans beat the Colts. And Matt Ryan, I think he got injured, but even if he comes back from that injury, the Colts have already said that they're straight up benching him for the rest of the year. What an absolute waste, and Philly thanks Indy for it. We traded Carson to them and got that pick, and then they traded Carson away because they were like, oh, Matt Ryan's the upgrade, all just to bench Matt Ryan. Absolutely crazy to see this utter downfall of the Colts. The Commanders. Speaking of Carson's out. Taylor Heineke's back in. And he leads the Commanders to a win over the Packers. Insane stuff to look at. The Panthers beat the Bucks as Tom Brady throws for 209 yards and no touchdowns at all. The Giants beat the Jaguars and they moved to 6-1. The Ravens beat the Browns. The Broncos lost to the Jets, and man, it sucks to see Breece Hall go down with an injury. I had him on my fantasy team, but not only just that, he was having a crazy rookie year. It really sucks to see him go out. The Raiders bounced back and beat the Texans. The Seahawks beat the Chargers, which is crazy that the Seahawks are leading the NFC West and are 4-3. The Chiefs beat the 49ers. And the Dolphins beat the Steelers, with the biggest surprise to me being that Tua was actually starting this game. I couldn't believe it. Oh, and then the Bears beat the Patriots on Monday night, and I guess the craziest thing was what's it called? Mac Jones getting benched for Bailey Zappi. Mac Jones, I heard I don't know. The funniest meme I saw was someone saying we just saw a man become unemployed on live television because he got benched for Bailey Zappi, and I instantly just made the joke to my friends that, well, my sources say Mac Jones is signing with Chick-fil-A after that week. But so the whole point is not just to read through the scores, read through the stat lines. It's to look at the standings in the NFL, look at each division, and play the game of who needs to be hitting the panic button at this point. We'll start off with the NFC East. Eagles definitely don't need to be hitting that panic button. The Giants definitely don't need to be hitting that panic button. We all thought they would have had to been hitting that panic button during the season, but you know, they don't really have to. Despite going against a Lions team, I don't think Dak, I mean, it was his return from injury, but yeah, Dak had 207 yards and a touchdown, but still not the best, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know. The Cowboys, record-wise, don't need to be hitting the panic button. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. But maybe at this trade deadline, maybe look to what you can improve if you want to pass the Giants and Cowboys. Because Giants are 6-1, Eagles are 6-0, and they're at 5-2. And they're only 2 losses away. Well, this counts on the Commanders winning 2 games from being tied with the Commanders. But the Commanders definitely, I'd say they'd be hitting the panic button because I really don't know what they could do this season to even catch back up. They could obviously get to 500, but with the stacked division that the East is right now, they definitely need to be hitting that panic button. The NFC North, Minnesota Vikings have nothing to worry about right now. 5-1. Kirk Cousins so far has been playing to his strengths, you know. That team's been performing well. The Packers definitely need to be hitting the panic button because I'm sorry to say this, but you're on a 3-game losing streak. What? Wait, I didn't even notice this about the Packers. Wait. The Giants, Jets, and Commanders are their last 3 losses, with their only wins coming against the Patriots, Bucks, and Bears. Easy teams to beat this season. You need to be hitting that panic button because next week's the Bills, then you get the Lions, sure, but then it's Cowboys, Titans, Eagles. After the Bears, you get the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Vikings again. You definitely need to be hitting that panic button because I'm sorry to say this, but you can only say so much that Aaron Rodgers can carry a team, you know. You can only say so much. I'll never count on Aaron Rodgers. You're on a 3-game losing streak to 3 good teams, essentially. You definitely need to be hitting that panic button. The Bears, I don't think they need to be hitting the panic button necessarily. They're 3-4, but there's definitely a lot of overhaul that needs to be done with that team. I honestly don't know what upgrades they could even make. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to say with that Bear squad. And then the Lions at 1-5. It was expected. I know a lot of people kind of expect them to win games, but you know, they're still a young team. Only thing they should maybe be hitting the panic button on is Jared Goff, but they're probably gonna have a top pick to get a top quarterback, so nothing to worry about there. No panic button. The Bucks hit that panic button. Tom Brady is I don't want it to come back and bite me because this man is unpredictable, but he's looking washed right now. He's looking terrible. The fact that you can't beat the Bears played the Patriots. What am I saying? The Panthers. The fact that you lost 21-3 against the Panthers. I don't know, man. I really don't know what to say about that Bucs squad that everyone was saying could, you know, really show out. The Falcons definitely don't need to be hitting the panic button. Because, I mean, people kind of looked at it as like a rebuild year, I guess you could say, but like they're 3-4. They're tied with first for the South, so no panic button there. The Panthers have already hit the panic button. They traded away McCaffrey, and apparently they're hearing phone calls on multiple of their players. They're not hearing them for DJ Moore, but they're hearing them for guys like Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin. Obviously McCaffrey just got traded for basically nothing, so they already hit the panic button at this point. And then the Saints definitely need to be hitting the panic button. This was a team that everyone was saying was going to be like a playoff team. Even I was saying that the Eagles might struggle later in the season against this team. They're 2-5, and there's no signs of real hope for this team. They need to upgrade at quarterback. They need to fix their cap issues. There's just so much that needs to be done with this Saints squad for them to improve. The West, the Seahawks the only reason the Seahawks should be hitting the panic button is if they were trying to secure a top pick. 4-3 at the top of their division. Other than that, I don't know if it's going to continue, but it's still absolutely crazy that they're at the top of this division. The Cardinals, they're 3-4. They've been a decent team. I think they slightly need to hit the panic button, but actually no. They don't need to. DeAndre Hopkins is back. It proved to make a difference in this game against the Saints. Or wait, did he come back? Wait, no, he came back with the Seahawks, right? Sorry, I need to double check this just to. Did he play? No, he didn't play the game. Yeah, okay, yeah. So DeAndre Hopkins is back, and you know, they come back, or he comes back, and the first thing they do is win against the Saints. You know. So I don't think that, and he had a great game, 10 catches, 103 yards. You know, it's clear that his presence matters, especially to Kyler Murray. So should be good, you know. I don't think they need to be hitting the panic button. Sorry, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I've been awake for a couple hours and even recorded a previous episode on the regular edition of the podcast. The 49ers, since you just traded for McCaffrey, I won't say you need to be hitting the panic button just yet. You are on a 2-game losing streak. But the first one, or the most recent one was to the Chiefs, but the Falcons one was maybe a bit concerning. But this is their first game with the Chiefs, with Christian McCaffrey. Wait, was it? Yeah. Oof, he only got 8 carries for 38 yards. That's crazy. I don't want to say they hit the panic button just yet, Maybe in a couple weeks they might be needing to hit it, but they definitely shouldn't right now. The Rams, second place in the division. I don't really know what to think of the Rams. I think maybe you hit the panic button just cause Matthew Stafford isn't looking like last season. As funny as it sounds, I know. They had a bye week this week, of course, so they didn't play. But I don't know. I think you maybe hit the panic button because you're just like, Stafford got that ring and that's about it. He hasn't been doing much, It's I really don't know what to think of this Rams team because they have that talent, but 3-3 is kind of a crazy record at the halfway point. And they just had their bye week already. So it's like, I don't know what to say for them, Gonna be interesting, definitely. I'd say they maybe have their hand on the button, but they aren't hitting it just yet. That's the NFC. AFC now. Let's start again with the East. The Bills, just like the Eagles, just like the Giants, their hand is nowhere near that panic button. They're completely fine. They're looking like Super Bowl favorites, especially coming out of the East, coming out of the AFC. The only reason they maybe need to be panicking is because the Jets are right behind them at 5-2, and the Dolphins with Tua back are at 4-3. And most importantly, the Bills are on a 3-game winning streak, but the Jets are on a 4-game winning streak. So just got to be watching out for them and bringing them up. The Jets definitely don't need to be hitting that panic button. I know I brought up Breece Hall getting injured, but they didn't make the trade for James Robinson, which I don't know how that's going to work out next year once Breece Hall does come back, because he's obviously going to be the star of the show. But definitely don't need to be panicking. The Dolphins, at least maybe just have that hand on the button. I know they have a winning record, but just maybe have it on just in case if more injuries happen. The Patriots definitely need to be panicking right now, because if Mac Jones isn't the answer, and if Bailey Zappi isn't the answer, I don't know what more your team could do. You'll maybe finish at 500, but with the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins ahead of you, I don't think so. The Ravens, I think I'm going to combine two here. I think the Ravens and Bengals should only be panicking about each other, because the Browns are 2-5, and everyone was like, "Oh, watch when Deshaun comes back." The Browns are on a 4-game losing streak. They were supposed to try and stay at 500 for when Deshaun comes back. That's not looking likely, and by the time Deshaun comes back, I think they'll have taken enough losses where they're out of the race. The Steelers need to be hitting the panic button, or not necessarily hitting the panic button. They need to be worrying, obviously, but also I don't think they need. Actually, no, I take that back. They don't need to be hitting that panic button, because you might as well consider this season out the window at 2-5. You could obviously make a comeback, be, what is it now, 12-5? But I don't see that happening. I don't think Kenny Pickett improves enough to get to that type of record, especially with the Ravens and Bengals performing the way that they are. And not even Mitch Trubisky can save you to that point. But going back to the Ravens and Bengals, I think maybe the Ravens have the hand on the button just to kind of worry about Lamar's kind of previous performances, but he's still been doing enough to get them wins. The Bengals are looking to get back in their groove, so they don't need to be having any type of panic. The Titans are 4-2, but Ryan Tannehill just went down. But they've been on a 4-game winning streak. They started off 0-2, but they won their last 4 games. But to be fair, it was against the Raiders, Colts, Commanders, and Colts again. And they played the Texans again, so they might not have to worry. But you may have to worry when in the coming weeks you have the Chiefs, the Broncos, if they even decide to play better, the Packers, I don't know. But then look, so you have the Chiefs, then you have the Bengals, the Eagles, the Jaguars, who despite their record have been playing pretty well, the Chargers, who are hit or miss, and then the Cowboys and Jaguars to end off the season with the Texans being in the middle right there. Might have to have some slight panic, but at the same time, it's the AFC South. The only thing is, actually, I don't even know if the Jaguars can do much to bounce back. They've been on a 4-game losing streak. I think the Titans don't need to really panic because there's no one really in that division to take over, especially with the next team, the Colts. Like I mentioned, they're benching Matt Ryan. They have to be hitting that panic button because seriously, what are you going to do? Get another 1-year rental quarterback? They have no clue what they're doing. Definitely need to be hitting that panic button when it comes to Indy. Jacksonville, it's Trevor Lawrence, a sophomore. I don't think you need to worry that much. If this season is chalked already, just look towards the draft, look towards improving, look towards free agency. Texans nowhere near the panic button. There's no reason for them to panic. Everyone knew they would be bad, just like the Lions. AFC West, the Chiefs don't need to be hitting that panic button. They're 5-2. The Chargers, they're gonna make the wild card, I think. So I don't think they need to be hitting that panic button at all. The Raiders definitely need to be hitting that panic button. You traded for Devontae Adams and have been terrible. I mean, he hasn't been terrible, but the team has been terrible. 2-4. What are you guys even doing? And then the biggest panic button of this season. Oh my goodness. The Broncos at 2-5 on a 4-game losing streak. They just need to hit that panic button, man. There's nothing more that can be said. I don't know what's going on with Russ. I don't know what's going on with that team. You just need to be hitting the panic button because I have no clue where your team is going in the future. Finally, one last thing before we go to the outro.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive, left field. It's deep. It's going. Yes! And it is gone!
Yes!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
World Series, baby.